So this is a long cook with me video with quesadillas and Instant Pot rice. Hey, it's Jenna here from sipbitego, and today I'm cooking with leftovers because as a new mom, I have to make leftovers go further, and it's just easier to cook with leftovers sometimes. So here you'll see how to use leftovers from barbecue ribs and turn them into quesadillas with leftover barbecue rib meat and cheese and red peppers and really anything else that you can find in your fridge. And for the tortillas, I'm going to be showing you how to make them with Costco tortillas from a recent Costco haul I did. You can also check out my video on how to grocery shop for 1 month at Costco. It's a really good video to show what to get to be able to make quesadillas throughout the month. So you can buy the tortillas at Costco or somewhere else. I like to use a raw Costco tortillas to make this. And then you can buy them for a month. You can freeze half of them and start using half of them right away. So this is a good example of how to throw together a meal using a once a month shopping trip. So to get started with this cook with me dinner, whether you're looking for inspiration for cooking dinners with leftovers or you're already cooking dinner and just watching this along, I want to show you how I start with the Instant Pot brown rice. So that's one of the things that takes the longest. It takes 15 minutes once it reaches the time, once it reaches the pressure in there. So in the Instant Pot rice, I threw in 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of water, and then you see here I'm getting together the chipotle, salt, pepper, and cilantro I'm cleaning to put in the rice later. So I prep that now and put the ingredients aside so I have them. And I'm also going to put some of the cilantro in the barbecue rib quesadillas with leftovers. In the video, you'll see that in just a second. So the first thing I do is just make the garlic oil for the Instant Pot rice. It's an Instant Pot rice that has quite a bit of flavor going on with it. I don't like just boring old rice. Why not make it like an exciting component on the dish? So to do that, I put in 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. Usually I just use the giant Costco already minced container. I used to always chop it, and if I have time, I love to get some fresh garlic and cut it up, but it really is easy as a new mom to have the garlic on hand already minced to just throw in a teaspoon a dish at a time. So to roast that, I put in about 1 tablespoon of olive oil and the 1 teaspoon of garlic. That's all that goes in the pan, and I cook that on medium heat for 1 to 2 minutes until the garlic becomes translucent. And the second the garlic is about to turn brown, like this is a perfect example, it's time to take it off of the heat. So it's not just enough when you're roasting garlic to let the pan sit on the same burner. No, you need to take that pan off of the burner so the garlic starts cooking as much, and either put it on a burner that you weren't using or put it on a trivet to cool. So while the garlic oil is cooling, I had a very set time because my husband and baby were out for a walk, so I was quickly getting to it. And so now you see that I'm only using about the meat for 2 to 3 ribs. It ends up being a cup of leftover barbecue ribs used in quesadillas here. So I like to just, when I have the leftovers in the house, we made this huge rack of ribs. My husband did. It was delicious. When these are in the house, I like to just stick them in the fridge because I think it's easier to kind of cut them off of the bone, but you could also pull them off the bone at night when you eat them off the ribs the first night. So this is assuming if you're like me, what happened is one night you made a huge rack of delicious oven ribs. My husband did it. They were roasted for hours. It was delicious. The next night was my night to cook, and I didn't have anything planned. So what I did was come up with these barbecue rib leftover quesadillas, and they were quite delicious. So anyways, once you dice up all the ingredients, all the barbecue ribs, it's time to work on the rice. So the deal with the Instant Pot is the rice button is what I used, and it cooks the rice for 15 minutes. And then after that, you keep it on sealed. So there's a little button on the top of the Instant Pot machine, and you keep it on sealed during the cook and then after the cook for 5 minutes. And that's going to keep steam in there. So they kind of keep steaming for 5 minutes after the cook. And then I'm going to go over after the 5 minutes and I'm going to turn the dial to venting, which means that the Instant Pot is going to start releasing the steam from it. And why that's important is because then you need to take out the rice because it's reached the optimal amount of cook time. So just a reminder, if you like easy recipes and using leftovers, to subscribe to the Sip by Go channel on YouTube to get my latest videos, and make sure to hit the little bell so you're notified when something new posts. So once the rice is done in the Instant Pot, that 5 minutes is up, and then you go ahead and turn from steam to venting. The vent will go up, just make sure it's not under a cabinet or anything, and releasing the steam. And then time to open up the machine, check out what's going on in there. Some beautiful brown rice. I love having something like this to whip up because the machine does all the cooking for me, and then I can just add some flavor to it at the end. I let it sit for a minute so it didn't come up as easily, but you can usually get that out pretty easily. So here I'm going to go into how the Costco tortillas work. I really do like using Costco tortillas. I get them in the refrigerator section and they come in a pack. I don't know, there's at least 20, 30, I don't know if there's 40 in there. They last us an entire month, so you should definitely check out my video on what else I buy if you want to shop for 1 month at a time during a Costco haul. But I love using these, but the deal is they're raw, so they need to be cooked on the outsides, both sides, and 2 tortillas. So 4 sides need to be cooked, but this could be done anytime within a couple of hours leading up to dinner, and you could just leave them out already cooked. So what I did is I added a teaspoon of butter to the pan, and then I turn up the heat to medium high, and then after the pan is hot, it's time to add the quesadilla. It's time to add the tortilla, and then it'll start to bubble. And once it starts to bubble and turn brown, it's time to flip the quesadilla over and do the other side. So I like to use tongs for this. It's kind of hard because these are large quesadillas to work with just a small spatula. So tongs usually make it easy. And as you can see, little bubbles will pop up. And those I just poke little holes or tear a little bit in the tortilla to stop the pockets, just so everything cooks evenly. So between my husband and I and a bite that the baby gets, I usually do 1 quesadilla and put sides like rice and vegetables on the side. So I do 2 tortillas, which means I am cooking them for about 5 minutes while the rice is in the Instant Pot. So here you see them also. I had some frozen green beans and some fresh carrots that I diced up to steam. They steam for about 6 minutes over boiling water in a strainer, and I like to put a lid on it so the steaming goes as it should and it doesn't take as long. And so I set the steamed veg aside, and here I'm assembling the quesadilla. So first I put half a cup of cheddar cheese diced up, and then I put a cup of the barbecue ribs leftover from the night before, and then I add 2 tablespoons of diced red pepper, and then a 1/4 cup of mozzarella cheese, and then 1.5 tablespoons of barbecue sauce, and about a tablespoon of fresh cilantro. So you could substitute anything you have in your refrigerator. You could use tomatoes in place of the red peppers. You could use black beans if you had them. You could put a little bit of let's see, like if you have any smoked salt, you could sprinkle a little inside. That would taste delicious. You could use any sort of cheese that you'd like. there are really so many things that you can do. So let me just go over quickly a couple extra things with how I made the actual quesadilla. So to actually cook the quesadilla, I like to start with a pan that is completely cold. Starting with a cold pan when I make the leftover barbecue rib quesadilla means that the tortillas from Costco that I already browned, they're going to be cooled down, and since the pan's not hot, everything on the inside is going to get warm together. So the point is to cook the pan on medium heat and start it from cold when I add the quesadilla in, and that means that it's going to slowly come up to temperature so the tortillas shouldn't burn. Now, if you weren't using the Costco raw tortillas that I use, if you were using with already cooked tortillas, you would just start at this part. They're already cooked, so you would just fill them and then put it directly in a pan. You don't have to use a little butter or a little olive oil, but if you do, it makes it a little more brown on the outside and tasty. So my perfect quesadilla is when the cheese completely melts, and using fresh mozzarella and using a nice cheddar cheese means that it melts very easily. And so when the cheese is all melted and the flavors are all mixing together inside, you saw me flip it back and forth a couple times in the pan. That means that it's ready to eat. So I take it off the pan as quickly as possible so the outside tortilla doesn't burn. And after just a couple minutes, it's ready to slice because it's cooled down enough to make pieces. And then I'm going to show you how these are plated with the rice and everything. But there are just a few finishing steps you have to know about how to make the rice first. So I'm going to get into that now. So for the rice, I use 1 teaspoon garlic and 1 tablespoon olive oil that's been on the pan cooking. Oh, it's so delicious. It cooks for about 2 minutes until it gets translucent, as you saw earlier. And so that gets added to the cooked brown rice along with some salt and pepper and about a tablespoon of fresh chopped cilantro. All of that gets stirred together, and oh, I forgot I added a little bit of chipotle powder as well. I wouldn't add too much of that. You could also use cayenne or chili powder, but I love the flavor of smoky chipotle powder. So that all gets added into the rice, and then I take a bite just to make sure it's delicious. I'm pretty satisfied, so it's time to do the plating, and is really my favorite part. So what I envisioned was something that had to be super quick and easy because I only had a couple minutes until it was time for dinner at my house, and we're, on somewhat of a schedule because we have a baby. So I liked a little pile of rice, and then to the side of the rice, like to the next quarter of the plate, went the vegetables. So those were the steamed carrots and green beans. And then to the next quarter of the plate were 2 pieces of the quesadilla. It really is easy to scale this recipe up or down. You just need more pans. And then on top of that, I threw a few sprinkles of cilantro just because it looks pretty. And this is when I went to the fridge and realized we did not have sour cream. We did not have avocado, so more barbecue on the side. I wish my drizzle was a little bit more beautiful, but this is the drizzle that I got, which is okay. It looks like a strange little cloud squiggly thing, but just a little bit more barbecue sauce, and the flavors were really delicious with the rice being so garlicky and the vegetables, and there were even some leftovers that I put in fridge for lunch the next day. Well, don't forget to subscribe to the Sip Bite Go channel on YouTube for more delicious recipes. You'll have to go check out my new cheesy baked rigatoni recipe that's on sipbitego.com, and I also just added a video to the Sip Bite Go channel on YouTube. It's a really easy pasta dish to make. It actually makes like 1.5 or 2 times the amount here, which means it's really great for making ahead and then planning to have for like 2, maybe 3 nights of dinners if you're not as hungry as we are here. Anyways, check out the recipe from Sip Bite Go. Well, until next time, I hope that you enjoy all of your leftovers. Turn all of your leftovers into quesadillas and I hope that you have a wonderful and delicious day. Cheers!